Hi Scorpio, how's it going? I hope you're doing wonderful today. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back. My name is Lynn and I'm doing a Celtic cross spread for you here. It's a general reading, so just take what resonates and leave the rest. Always check your sun, moon, rising signs in case you have messages over there. Just setting this up here a bit better. Yeah, so I've already shuffled, I've already cleared the energy of the cards, and these are the cards that came out. I'll go through them individually with you, and just let me know if any of this resonates with you at all, if it gave you any guidance or insight. I would love to hear. So the first card that came out represents your current situation, and you got the Six of Cups reversed. One, two, three, four. Four of your 10 cards came out reversed. That just means you're getting extra protection from spirit, okay? So the Six of Cups reversed. This is about the past, unresolved emotional history, and you finally needing to see something from the past differently, okay? The message on the card is, I remember and treasure past happiness, but you might not feel like that because it came out reversed. Okay, so at the heart of your current energy is something from the past that is no longer supposed to have the same hold over you. It can be a past relationship, an ex, a family situation, a childhood wound, an old friendship, a betrayal, or just a version of yourself that you've outgrown. The most important thing is that the Six of Cups is reversed. Because again, when it comes out upright, it represents nostalgia, happy memories, innocence, reconciliation, and looking backward fondly. But because it came out reversed, it's saying, stop looking backward. There is something there that you need to release, understand differently, or finally outgrow. Okay, if we're just looking at love and relationships with this card, it can indicate unfinished emotional business involving someone from the past. That doesn't necessarily mean an ex is physically returning. It can mean that you are still emotionally affected by what happened. So it could be an ex that you haven't completely emotionally detached from, or someone who hurt you and left unanswered questions. It could be a relationship you keep comparing new people to. Could be someone from the past resurfacing. A relationship where old patterns keep repeating. Someone wanting another chance. Or you, Scorpio, realizing that what you miss is the memory of the person and not necessarily the person themselves. Okay, that's a big one. Maybe you just miss the memory of the person and not necessarily the person themselves. You may be romanticizing something that wasn't actually as good as you remember it. You may be remembering the good moments while minimizing why the relationship ended in the first place. And because you tend to feel things very deeply, then this card can indicate that the emotional attachment has lasted much longer than the actual relationship. Another possibility of, with this card is that someone from the past is watching or thinking about you. Okay? Sometimes this card can show a person from the past who hasn't completely let go. Could be an ex, could be a former friend, could be someone you had a significant emotional connection with. I wouldn't automatically say that they're coming back. Maybe it's someone or something from the past still has unfinished emotional energy around you, but you're being pushed toward closure rather than repetition. You're being pushed towards closure. You may have thought you were over something, only to discover that a memory, a person, a conversation, a photograph, an anniversary, a dream, or a recent event has brought back those feelings, brought those feelings back up. Because this card can represent an old emotional wound being brought to the surface so that you can finally deal with it. This isn't necessarily you going backward. It can actually be you finally processing what you couldn't process before. The Six of Cups is all about childhood or family. So this card is strongly connected to childhood, which can also point towards something originating much earlier in your life. Okay? So for some of you, your current situation may involve childhood conditioning or family dynamics. Maybe you're dealing with family dynamics or childhood conditioning, or you're feeling responsible for other people's emotions, or you're dealing with an old rejection wound, or feeling abandoned, or this card is about being treated unfairly when you were younger. Or there could be a family relationship that is still affecting your adult relationships. Okay? A family relationship that still affects your adult relationships, or you're realizing that something you considered normal growing up actually wasn't healthy. So in that sense, Scorpio, you may be breaking an old cycle. With regards to your career or life path, like outside of relationships, this card can indicate that you've outgrown an old chapter of your life. You may be realizing that you don't want that anymore. A job, a lifestyle, a friendship circle, an environment, or a goal that once made sense doesn't necessarily fit who you're becoming. And there's also an opportunity here to return to something from the past. But the reversed position says you don't automatically assume going back is the answer. Okay? So Scorpio, you're standing between your past and your future. And the past is demanding one final look before you can truly move forward. Something hasn't necessarily returned because you're meant to have it back. You need to see it with new eyes, okay? Spirit wants you to look at something with new eyes. This card can be the moment where you say, you understand now why this certain thing happened, and now you don't need to carry it anymore. Scorpio, what this card is saying is you're breaking emotional ties to the past. You're confronting old wounds or relationships, and you're realizing that moving forward requires releasing the version of yourself that kept looking backward. Then what's crossing you, or what's challenging you, or your situation, or what you're celebrating, is the Page of Swords. The message is, I take care of the detail and stay in control. So in your challenge position, or it could be what you're celebrating. So it's upright. So Scorpio, you're trying to move on from the past, but your mind is still investigating it. You may be emotionally ready to leave something behind, but mentally you're still questioning, analyzing, watching, researching, or trying to figure out what really happened, okay? The biggest challenge is wanting answers, but you might not get the answers. Maybe you will in divine timing. Maybe you're thinking, why did they do that? Or what were their real intentions? Or were they telling me the truth? Or what really happened? What do they still think of me? Who was involved? What am I not being told? Because the Page of Swords is extremely curious and mentally alert. So you may be looking for information that will finally make the past make sense. But here's the problem. You may be trying to think your way out of an emotional wound. And sometimes there isn't another piece of information that will make what happened feel okay. Someone could be watching you. This is one of the strongest possibilities, okay? The Page of Swords can represent someone observing from a distance. That could be an ex checking your social media, or someone asking mutual friends about you, or someone keeping tabs on you without contacting you, someone wanting to know what you're doing, someone who's curious whether you've moved on, someone who wants to communicate but hasn't figured out how. So yeah, there could be a person from your past who is still curious about you. But the page is immature energy, so this could be watching rather than acting. Someone can be thinking about you, checking up on you, or wanting information without actually being prepared to have a mature conversation. And on the shadow side, this card can represent overthinking. So it can represent yourself. You could be mentally stuck on something that emotionally needs to be released. You may repeatedly replay conversations, analyze someone's behavior, examine little details, or look for clues. But Scorpio, the more you investigate the past, the more emotionally connected you remain to it. The Six of Cups reversed is saying, release it. The Page of Swords is saying, but I need to know why. And that's where the conflict is. Communication is important, The Page of Swords is also a communication card. So something may be said or discovered, exposed, or communicated regarding this past situation. So pages are messengers. So there could be a message from someone, an unexpected conversation, information coming to light, someone finally asking a question, you confronting someone, or you finding out something you didn't previously know. And because the Six of Cups is reversed, whatever information comes forward may change your perception of the past. Okay? In love specifically, this card can show two people who aren't completely emotionally finished with each other, but aren't necessarily ready for reconciliation either. So one person may be watching, one person may be wondering, one person may want answers, but there's still emotional baggage surrounding the connection. There's curiosity and mental activity surrounding this connection. Whether that becomes actual communication or action, we'll see in the next cards, okay? And if you're celebrating something, you could be celebrating finally seeing the truth. You're becoming sharper. You're noticing things you previously overlooked. You no longer accept everything at face value. You may have learned from the past and are now saying that you are never ignoring those red flags again. The past is still relevant. The past is still relevant, but you're beginning to see it differently, is what these cards are saying so far. There may be someone from the past watching, wondering, or wanting communication. There may also be information that you don't have yet. But the deeper lesson is about breaking a cycle of looking backward for answers. You're becoming more mentally discerning and less willing to accept someone's version of events without questioning it. Okay? And then your third card, again, you got another page, the Page of Pentacles. This is your foundation message. I am open to opportunities for personal growth, is a message on the card. So this is your foundation message here. So at the foundation of your current situation is a new beginning that is practical, tangible, and capable of becoming something stable. It's about building something real. So underneath all the emotional and mental activity from the first two cards, the third card is saying that you're actually being pushed towards something new and concrete. You're being given a new opportunity. Now, this could be a new job or career opportunity. Maybe you're learning a new skill, or you're starting a business or project. It could be a financial opportunity, a new relationship. Maybe you're moving toward a more stable lifestyle. Maybe you're beginning a new chapter after a difficult period. Or maybe you're finally investing energy into yourself, okay? But the important thing is that this is something in its early stages. It may not look huge yet. It may be a small opportunity, a conversation, an offer, an idea, or just the first step towards something much bigger. And financially, this is a very good foundation, because the Page of Pentacles can be particularly significant around money and work. So it could represent a new source of income or an opportunity to improve your financial security. It could be a job offer, training, education, a new business idea, a side income, or someone presenting you with a practical opportunity. But there's a catch, because the page doesn't represent instant success. It represents potential. Okay? You have to actually nurture this opportunity. And this is where it gets really interesting in love. So this can describe someone who is trying to leave an old relationship or emotional pattern behind while becoming curious about something new. There could potentially be a new person entering your life, and this new person may have a very different energy from someone in your past. The Page of Pentacles is slower, more grounded, more practical than the Page of Swords. So you may encounter someone who isn't coming in with huge declarations of love. Instead, they're showing interest through small, consistent actions that could ultimately be healthier for you. And there's another possibility. The Page of Swords crossing you could represent someone from the past watching or communicating, while the Page of Pentacles at the foundation represents something new trying to develop. So do you keep looking backward, trying to understand someone from the past, or do you start investing in what is actually being offered to you now? Okay? You have two pages, Page of Swords and Page of Pentacles. So this means that you're in a learning phase. You're learning how to communicate differently, how to recognize red flags, how to make better choices, how to stop repeating old patterns, how to build something stable, how to distinguish potential from empty promises. They're not necessarily you're not at the final destination yet. You're starting something new and you're learning as you go. Scorpio, you're not being asked to forget the past. Okay, you're being asked to replace the old with something better. That's very different. You don't heal by saying I'm never doing that again. You heal by learning, this is what I actually want now. Okay? You're beginning to understand what that looks like in the real world. You need to stop carrying the past, but you feel like you still need answers. You need to understand what happened. You need to start building something new. That's what That's where you're at right now. You feel like you need to stop carrying the past. The Six of Cups reverse is I need to stop carrying the past. The Page of Swords is but I still need answers. I need to understand what happened. And the Page of Pentacles is saying, and I need to start building something new. And then your fourth card represents your past, but is relevant to your current situation, and you got the Chariot reversed. I go forward with confidence is the message on the card. So let's see. Scorpio, the Chariot reverse suggests that you have come out of a period where you felt like you were trying to move forward, but you couldn't get things under control. There was movement, but it wasn't necessarily progress. You may have felt like you were trying so hard to get somewhere, but nothing is actually changing. There was a period, you were in a period of being stuck there for a little while. Because the Chariot upright is about determination, control, direction, victory, forward movement. But when it comes out reversed, the energy becomes feeling stuck, losing control of a situation, going back and forth, not knowing which direction to take, trying to force something that wasn't working, two people wanting different things, starting and stopping, emotional chaos, interfering with practical decisions, feeling like circumstances were controlling you rather than you controlling them. You may have been trying to move on from something for quite some time, Scorpio. You may have told yourself you're done, you're moving forward, but emotionally you weren't completely there yet. With regards to relationships, this is particularly powerful because the Chariot reversed can represent a relationship where two people were not moving in the same direction. There may have been attraction and strong emotions, but not a shared destination. One person may have wanted one thing while the other wanted something completely different. Like, for example, one wanted commitment and the other didn't, or one wanted to repair things and the other kept pulling away, or one wanted to move forward but the other one kept bringing up the past. There was a repeated breakup, makeup pattern. Someone couldn't make a decision and the relationship kept going in circles. Then eventually you reach the point you reach the point of you can't keep doing this. You were like, I can't keep doing this. This could also involve someone very controlling because the Chariot is about control. It can sometimes point toward a power struggle when it comes out reversed like this. Someone may have tried to control the direction of the relationship or situation. Maybe you felt like you were constantly having to fight for control of your own life or emotional stability. And because you're naturally intense and determined, this could have become exhausting for you. You may have spent a tremendous amount of energy trying to make something work. The Chariot reverse says you couldn't get this situation under control. The Page of Swords says, so now you need to understand what happened. That's why you may currently be analyzing the past. You couldn't get the outcome you wanted, so your mind is still trying to solve the puzzle. Like, why didn't it work? Or what did I miss? Or what was the other person really doing? Or could I have handled it differently? Now you're learning to do things differently. Instead of trying to force a situation to move forward, you're learning to build slowly. Instead of chasing emotional intensity, you're learning to look for consistency. Instead of asking how strongly do you feel about this, you may start asking, is this actually stable, or is this person consistent? Are their actions matching their words? Maybe those are the kind of things that are going through your mind now. It's a major shift happening. And it doesn't have to be romantic, okay? The Chariot reverse could also describe a previous period involving career, finances, moving, family, or personal direction. You may have experienced a situation where you lost momentum. Maybe you wanted to make a major change, but circumstances prevented it. Maybe you were pursuing something that ultimately wasn't right for you. And now the Page of Pentacles is saying that just start again, but this time build it properly, okay? In the past, you couldn't get the situation moving in the right direction. Now you're trying to detach from what happened. But your mind keeps going back looking for answers. At the same time, a new, more grounded chapter is beginning underneath everything. So Scorpio, you're coming out of a period of being stuck in an old cycle. And you're being given an opportunity to build something new. But you have to stop allowing the past to dictate where you're going next. I'm a Scorpio too, so I totally get what they're trying to say here. There's 2 pages in your reading so far. I think that's it. 2 pages. And it can sometimes indicate, pages can sometimes indicate news, messages, conversations, offers, or new people entering the picture. One is mental, communication oriented, the swords, while the other is practical, material, which is the pentacles. So then your next card is the Hermit. This card represents your immediate future, what's likely to happen very soon in your life. And you got the Hermit. I will follow my own path is the message on the card. So this card is saying that the next phase is not about rushing into action. It's about stepping back, getting clarity, and becoming very selective about what and who you allow in your life. Your immediate future shows you entering a period of withdrawal, reflection, solitude, and deep realization. It doesn't mean loneliness, okay? You need some time away from everybody else's opinions and noise so that you can figure out what you actually want. In the past, you couldn't get a situation where you wanted it to go. In the present, Spirit is saying you need to stop living in the past. You still have questions. You're trying to understand what happened. You need to start building something more stable. But before you do that, Spirit is saying you need to figure yourself out. Okay? You might temporarily pull away, become less available socially or emotionally. You may stop responding to certain people if you haven't already. You may distance yourself from drama. You may spend more time alone. You may stop explaining yourself, become quieter, take a break from dating. You may pull away from someone who is confusing you. You may focus heavily on your work or your personal goals. Or you may spend some time thinking about what you actually want. The Hermit is about intentional solitude. So it's saying you don't want to make another decision from an emotional place. Okay? You're unlikely to immediately jump back into a situation. If someone from the past contacts you, you may step back and think about it rather than immediately responding emotionally. You may ask yourself, is this person actually different? Or are you you're asking yourself, is this person different, or am I just missing what we used to have? Right? The Hermit wants you to distinguish between nostalgia and the truth. Someone may go quiet. You may go quiet. Both people may need some space, because the Hermit can indicate a period where communication slows down or stops. Okay, but the silence isn't necessarily the final outcome. The Hermit often represents someone processing privately before making a decision. So if you're currently waiting for someone to make a move, the energy immediately ahead is slower and more introspective. The Hermit is about finding your own truth. And that's important because the Page of Swords shows you currently looking outward for answers. You're watching, analyzing, trying to understand another person's motives. The Hermit turns that energy inward. So instead of what do they want, you're asking, what do I want? Instead of thinking, do they still love me? You're thinking, would I actually want them back? Instead of, if you're thinking, why did they treat me that way? You're thinking, why did I stay as long as I did? That's a much deeper level of healing. And the Hermit can also indicate you becoming very focused on your own path. So with the Page of Pentacles, at the foundation here underneath, maybe you might be investing in your education, training, a new career direction, financial planning, a personal project. building a business, learning something new. Maybe you're preparing for a major life change, and you may not announce what you're doing. You may quietly work on something behind the scenes. You may be planting a seed now that becomes much more significant later. But if we look on the shadow side of the Hermit, there's a warning here. Scorpio, you need solitude, but not isolation, okay? There's a difference between I need time to heal and I'm going to shut everybody out because I don't trust anybody anymore. The past may have made you cautious, but the Hermit is saying use that experience to become wiser, not completely closed off. Don't confuse peace with loneliness. Scorpio, what your cards are saying so far is that you're leaving behind a situation that kept you emotionally stuck. Yes, you still have questions about what happened, and there may even be someone from the past watching or communicating. But instead of immediately repeating the old cycle, you're beginning to recognize that you need something more stable and grounded. And the immediate future says you pull back, you think, you observe, you heal, and you figure out what you truly want. And that period of solitude is preparing you for the next chapter. Scorpio, you have the Page of Pentacles and the Hermit, and that can indicate that while you appear quiet on the outside, you're actually preparing yourself for something substantial on the inside. A lot is happening privately that other people cannot see yet, is what the Hermit is saying here. Your sixth card is, you know what? I'm going to stop there. We're halfway through the reading. I'm going to stop there, and then I'm going to start with the Knight of Swords, your sixth card, on the next video, okay? Because this is going to be a long reading, and I want to divide it up. So stay tuned for part 2, Scorpio. Let me know how it's going so far. We're almost at 45 minutes, so your sixth card represents the outcome that you desire most in your situation. The message on the card is I choose my battles carefully. Knight of Swords reversed. Okay? Stay tuned. I'll be right back.